It is time for Veterans with Benefits with your hosts Anthony Tyron and Corinna Ballista.
Hello, Guam. Half a day.
Hello.
I'm Karina.
I'm Anthony.
So I guess we'll start with our sponsors. So our Veterans with Benefits talk show is sponsored by Ambrose, a veteran-owned business, American Legion in Tamuning. Don't forget, this Saturday is Steak Day starting at 1 p.m. Hubzibah Clinic, and then Guam Eco Surfaces. I always say the wrong thing. Founded in February 2022 by Guam natives Raylene and Victor Taitano, Guam Eco Services Inc. is a locally operated, women-owned small business offering Guam its first and only dustless blasting experience. Look for them on Instagram and Facebook. Also by 11Z's, which is right behind the studio, and they offer 11% discount for veterans and military.
They have coffee and mixed drinks, smoothies, right? And
Yes.
They also are doing a promotion for Valentine's Day. So if you're a veteran and you're in need of coffee, smoothies, or Valentine's gifts, go see Miss Grace behind us here at the studio, or you can find them also at the Micronesia Mall.
Yes, one of our favorite places to hang out. You'll find us there. Also, our Veteran of the Week is Chief Master Sergeant Joey Cruz, retired. And I'll give you a short summary. So we do this every week, Veteran of the Week. So he was with the 44th Aerial Port Squadron up at Anderson Air Force Base, Guam. His responsibilities included providing management direction for the enlisted force within the air transportation career field. He oversaw and managed unit commanders' programs and policies. He served as a subject matter expert, advisor on enlisted force welfare, readiness, morale, and utilization. His military service included he joined the Army in 1988. He served in various roles. Then he transitioned to the Guam Army National Guard and later the U.S. Air Force Reserve's 44th APS. He deployed overseas in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom, Enduring Freedom, and New Dawn. His education includes associate and bachelor's degrees in transportation and homeland security. He completed numerous military leadership and professional development courses, and his key achievements, some of the medals he earned: Meritorious Service Medal, Commendation Medal, Achievement Medal, and Campaign Medals. He was a distinguished graduate of NCO Academy, and he was president of the Air Force Reserve Association and graduated cum laude from American Military University. So congratulations. If you know Chief Master Sergeant Joey Cruz, retired, congratulate him. Veteran of the Week.
Congratulations.
Okay.
Now, for some of you that are business owners out there, every week we're celebrating Veterans of the Week, obviously. And if you would like to maybe show more support for our veterans and would like to maybe provide some sort of gift certificates or anything to celebrate them just a little bit more, I mean, we're already congratulating them and celebrating their service. Every week we have a new one. So if you're out there and you're listening and you are a business establishment, this is one of the new things that is going on our island. For those of you that were able to make it to Friday's event, the governor and lieutenant governor did the proclamation.
2024 Year of the Veteran.
Yes, and I didn't want to steal too much thunder, but I wanted to plug that while we could.
Yes. And before I forget, if you want to call in, it's 671-888-8255. So due to time constraints on Friday, we weren't able to completely hear Anthony's speech that he had. So can I just say it here?
It's up to you, ma'am.
Okay. So as part of the proclamation signing, we did introduction. We had welcoming remarks. We had a few of us read the proclamation, 2024 Year of the Veteran. So at the interest of time, Anthony was not able to give his whole speech. So I'm going to do it now, even though he said, let's save it for the big celebration. I was like, no, I want to do it now. I want to do it now. Okay. So this was supposed to be Anthony's, where did it go? Oh gosh, I lost it. Hold on. I have it. Let me see.
So
Go ahead, Anthony. Talk about it.
So
before
for
I find
those
it.
of you that are also listening, Charlie Hermosa is going to be spearheading an effort to
Okay, found it.
to make a bigger event out of the Year of the Veteran, because we only had a short period of time, and it was nice. The after event, we had quite a few veterans stick around and were there for the potluck and the meals that were brought by our veterans. So they had a good time spending it then, and if we have more time and more effort, I think they're going to be doing something a bit larger, and I think we're going to also have, Charlie's going to have them pretty much plan out the year and have everyone that's able to participate kind of join in and help out.
Okay, I found it. Okay, my fellow Guamanians, esteemed guests, and most importantly, our courageous veterans. Today we gather not merely for ceremony, but for a heartfelt celebration of sacrifice, service, and unwavering spirit that defines our island's heroes. The signing of Proclamation number 2024-10 marks not just a date on the calendar, but the launch of a year dedicated to honoring the legacy of Guam's veterans. A legacy etched in the sands of battlefields and woven into the fabric of our community. Some may ask, why this proclamation? Why this year? The answer lies not just in dates or titles, but in hearts and stories. Think of Candido Napati at 20 years old, who was drafted into the U.S. Army to fight in the Vietnam War. He had damaged knees and was still drafted into basic training. His knees were damaged from the training, yet he was fixed up and completed basic training and sent to AIT. Again, his knees were damaged and was able to complete AIT, at which time the Army surgeon looked at his medical records and told him he was being kicked out of service after being uprooted and drafted. He then was sent back home to fend for himself. He was denied several times until he finally was able, through HMI, receive what he is so rightly deserved today. He finally receives his full VA benefits and services. Or Craig Chong and Arlene Sibatang, who were not able to live to see their benefits. Their courage, a beacon in the chaos. These are not isolated tales, but echoes of countless Guamanians who answered the call, who bled for our freedom, who built this island with their bare hands. This task force, diverse in its voices and unwavering in its purpose, was born from their stories, from veterans themselves, from families who bear the scars of war, from leaders dedicated to serving those who served us. We, together, have secured increased services, expanded resources, and a growing network of support for our veterans. And this proclamation is not an endpoint, but a springboard for action, a platform for your voices to be heard. This year, the Year of the Veteran, is not just about parades and platitudes. It's about tangible action, about doors opening to opportunity, about needs met and voices amplified. This event is your starting point. Speak with officials, explore new resources, connect with fellow veterans, let your stories guide the way. We've planned workshops, forums, and initiatives tailored to your needs, and your participation is the fuel that will drive them forward. But beyond action, let this year be a joyous celebration of the spirit you embody. Today we raise our voices, not just in gratitude, but in shared pride. Let the laughter and music of this gathering resound throughout the island, a testament to the strength we forged together. Veterans, families, friends, all stand united, woven into a tapestry of shared sacrifice and unwavering love for our island home. Remember, you are not alone. The expanding CBOC, the dedicated radio programs, the ever-growing network of support. These are not mere promises, but the tangible manifestations of our commitment to you. This year, we will build on this momentum, ensuring that every veteran feels not just honored, but empowered, equipped, and supported. The ink on this proclamation is not the end, but the beginning. It is a pledge, a promise etched not just on paper, but in our hearts. This year, let us walk shoulder to shoulder, veterans and community as one, to celebrate your legacy, amplify your voices, and ensure that the sacrifices of Guam's heroes are never forgotten. Thank you. See, that was really long. There were so many speakers, but that was amazing. You should have done it.
Well, I think we still got one more chance to do it, and we'll probably do it when Charlie does his big event.
Okay.
So we also wanted to let everyone know, if you're still able to, the boot camp is going to be down at the Inalahan Community Center. It's right beside the St. Joseph Church. So they just got started. We hear there's a lot of nice, delicious food down there, and they're about ready to get started. So you still got some time to run by there, and you should be able to take advantage of this if you can. It's open source information that the outreach that HMI is giving to our veterans is something that has not been seen in our time here, and it's been very successful with helping our veterans understand that they can take control of their claim and they can file it. So,
I think we got a call.
okay. So if you got some time, go down there tonight. It's 5:30 to 8:30. They'll be there tomorrow, same time, and Wednesday as well. So we got a call, so we're going to go to the phone lines. Hello, caller.
Hey, Tony, this is Jeff. How's it going?
Hey, good. Great to hear you.
Good to hear you, too. How you guys, what you guys been up to lately?
Well,
Besides doing the talk show.
well, you already heard of the proclamation. You know, there's boot camp, and then there's also what do you call it? We got a bunch of other things coming up, and you know, today is the best time to be a veteran. There's a lot of great things happening for them. For those that were listening, there was some testimony today from Jose San Agustin over at the Guam
Legislature.
GOVA office. They were down at the legislature, and Speaker Teresa Terlahi was on there. One of our veterans, Senator Joe San Agustin, was also there. And then we had the director, we had Joe Mofnas, we had, who else was on there? Dan Mendiola, we saw. Nick Francisco. So, where they're pushing for that VetCon, that they're trying to get for all our veterans to, I believe, go to Nico Hotel. I think the details are still pending, and there's some funding that they're hoping the legislature can approve so that the veterans can have a big event. So
okay, sounds fantastic. I do have some information to share with veterans who are listening about and who are participating in the VRNE program. If you're not participating in the VRNE program, then pass it along. They do have they have hired a new counselor, and I'm not sure if she's on island just yet, but I think she has been scheduling. She's scheduling her appointments right now. I heard she's from Island and that she has, a lot of experience. So, hopefully she'll be good for the island and good for the veterans who are participants in the VRNE program. So there is a counselor who's been hired for Guam, and hopefully they'll be hiring a couple more, from what I understand.
Awesome. And it used to be just you picking up a lot of that work, so you were very busy at the time when you were there, correct?
Yeah. In my opinion, and this is my opinion, Guam probably needs about 4 or 5 counselors and a supervisor.
Awesome.
I think that kind of needs to go. There's precedence for this. They really need to stop, in my opinion, again, they need to stop neglecting Guam and neglecting the out-based locations, American Samoa, Guam, Maui, Hilo, particularly Guam, though, because we handle overseas cases as well.
Yes.
Japan, Korea, the Philippines, Saipan, we handle all those cases. So, they need about 4 or 5 counselors and a supervisor. And I also think they need to develop this place and make it into a fully functioning benefits office. which would be a lot easier to do than I think a hospital. So I think they need like VSRs, raters, supervisors here on island, right?
I see.
So I mean, hopefully that'll change in the next couple of years or so.
Yes.
But one counselor is not going to be able to handle all the cases here. So hopefully they'll hire another counselor, maybe one more, and and help her out.
Wow, that's good to hear. And with some of these things, right? I believe that our VA would love to help us, and I think there are a lot of things changing out here by getting our veterans out and having them, go sign up at the CBOC, go to your office, file their claims. These are things that bring our veterans, more awareness, right? And the more we can do this, the better it's going to be. I mean, we already have an annex going up, so if we continue to do what we're doing, I think we're moving closer to all these things you speak of, potentially a new facility for doing the VRE or new office, and, getting people to staff that, and then potentially some medical center.
I think that's a key component, staffing. So you got to hire. If you want to be a VRNA counselor, you have to have a master's degree, and you have to be a certified rehabilitation counselor. So there's no master's degree program in rehabilitation counseling on island. That also includes a 600. When I was going through, it was a 600-hour internship. So finding qualified people who want to come to Guam is the challenge, right? And I believe this young lady who's taking over, I think she's from Guam, from what I understand. So, hopefully that'll be a benefit.
Jeff, sorry to interrupt you. But we know who you are because we've worked with you a lot. Can you introduce yourself to the listeners? Because this is a brand new platform.
Yeah. I'm sorry. My name is Jeffrey Young. I used to work for VA. I started off as a veteran service rep in 2009, and actually the current director of Honolulu Regional Office, Stacy Bonnet, she was my immediate supervisor back in 2009 in Des Moines. So I know her, I don't know her well, but I know her fairly well. Then I transitioned into becoming a vocational rehab counselor. I went to night, took some night classes, got my master's in rehabilitation counseling, and then I transferred to Oakland Regional Office, where I worked there for 4 years, I believe, until 2014. And then I transitioned into being a community college counselor, which was a great experience. I was working with students, not just veterans. I started working with students, doing academic plans, helping them their transfer plans, and I was teaching classes, career and life planning classes, as well as study skill classes, and some other sociology type classes and psychology classes at the general education level. It was a really great experience. I really started understanding how community colleges and colleges work and interact. I really enjoyed that job, and I also worked at a prison, Solano State Prison.
Okay.
California State Prison, Solano, and I was teaching classes there as well. That was an eye-opening experience, very eye-opening.
Were you teaching veterans in that prison?
No. Well, I mean, they might have been veterans. There was a few veterans, but they were, they were just regular, guys who have been. I guess in the '90s, there was a clamp down on some of the gangs that was going on in California, and a lot of those guys were like old school gangbangers, from the '80s and the '90s.
Got it.
Who were spending the rest of their lives in prison, and some of them, one guy was the E6, and so me and him made in the military, me and him made a connection, and he got busted over some drugs or something like that.
Wow.
And, but those guys are really, really smart. One guy who was, I'm getting off topic, I guess, but there was one guy who was, he was a bodybuilder, and he worked out with Arnold Schwarzenegger and, all those people back in the 80s. And he had a gym, and so he showed his pictures. I mean, he looked like a bodybuilder, right? He didn't look that way anymore, but he looked like a bodybuilder. And he was telling us about his background. And he said he made more money when he got put in prison than when he was actually free, because his money would go to like drugs and that kind of stuff. So, and then his partner eventually bought him out, and while he was in prison, he got like $1 million check.
Oh, wow.
While he was in prison.
Jeff, can we, there are some people that had questions, they're messaging me, but what is the minimum requirement to apply for VRNE benefits, and can you explain what those are, and then maybe touch on the 5 tracks?
Yeah. Man, I haven't done this in 4 or 5 months.
Come on, it's like second nature, Jeff.
Yeah, let me brush off my VRNE. Yeah, let's get back on topic. We'll talk about prison later.
Oh gosh.
So yeah, one of the things that we look for as counselors when we invite you in for it, first of all, you'll apply for VRNE, right? Mm-hmm. You'll go to va.gov, go under education. You'll look for veteran readiness and employment. Right, mm-hmm. You'll put your application in. I believe it's the VA form 1900, but it's all digital. It takes literally 2 minutes. I'll receive your application, or a counselor will receive your application, and they'll set you up for an appointment hopefully within 30 to 60 days. So your initial evaluation, what we're looking for is what we call a vocational impairment, which is an inability to prepare for, obtain, and or maintain employment due substantially to your service-connected disabilities. That's what we're looking for. So, for example, during an initial evaluation, I would get clients say, hey, I want to go for a master's degree. I can't talk about that right now. What I'm talking about is your disabilities and how do your disabilities affect your day-to-day functions, your work functions, your functions in life. That's what I'm evaluating initially. So the second question we ask ourselves, most veterans have a vocational impairment. Most people have some kind of vocational impairment. But the other question, the most important question, is have you been able to overcome this impairment through further education and or gainful and suitable employment? So, hate is a strong word, but we get this all the time. We'll get this GS-13s and these GS-14s who've been working for the federal government. They're retired, they're 100%ers, and they're applying for vocational rehab. They don't need the program. They're they're usually, they're gainfully and suitably employed. Even though they may have some form of vocational impairment, they've been able to overcome it with gainful and suitable employment. So those veterans applying like that who are already gainfully and suitably employed, I usually, deny them, right?
Right.
But let's say you haven't been able to overcome it. Let's say you're still, you're hopping from jobs, you're having a hard time maintaining work, and you need some kind of training so you can get back to work. Well, if you have a vocational impairment and you haven't been able to overcome it, then, we can say, hey, this veteran has an employment handicap. We can go ahead and bring that person into the program.
Okay.
If they're 20% or higher.
So not 10% then?
Not 10%. So 10%, you still need an employment handicap.
Okay.
But at 20% or higher, all you need is an employment handicap. But at 10%, you need a serious employment handicap. Okay. So it's one more step for the 10%. So the 10%, you got to have an employment handicap. Then I got to look at something else. Do you have a serious employment handicap? And then that's when I could take in, I could take in the whole veteran. Do you have a criminal record? Do you have large gaps in your employment? Do you have, other limitations that are not service connected that prevent you from working? So yeah, that's a great question. 10%ers have to go through one more step, right? Okay. 20%ers all need employment handicap. 10%ers, one more step. All right. So let's say I'm able to find you entitled to the program. You have a vocational impairment. You haven't been able to overcome it through further education and or gainful and suitable employment. You have an employment handicap. Boom, you're entitled to vocational rehabilitation or veterans readiness employment. The next step is plan development. Then we can start talking about, that degree, that vocational training, that other stuff, right? Excuse me. What I usually like to start off with is, who's hiring what, where, and how do you access? What kind of job are you looking for? Right? I want to work for Google on Guam. Well, there's no Google, and I'm staying on Guam. There's no Google on Guam. I'm sorry. There's no, there's no Facebook on Guam. Well, I want to work for this company. Okay, we got to look at the local labor market. Unless you plan to move, we have to figure out what the local labor market is. That's a little easy, the technology we have now, because you can work remotely in some cases. So some cases, but companies are starting to move away from remote work a little bit, and they're starting to do hybrid work now. So even VA was doing that. So we got to figure out, who's hiring what, where, how do you access these jobs? So that's called plan development. Let me backtrack a little bit.
This is great info. I hope people are listening. This is great info.
I'm going to backtrack just a little bit.
Oh, go ahead.
So there are 5 tracks, right? The first track is, if I can remember, rapid access to employment. Okay. So you already have education. I found you entitled to the program. you're just, you don't need a whole lot of training. You might just need a certificate or something like that. I can send you to school and get your certificate, and try to get you a job right away, right? Or just try to get you a job without a certificate. We try to engage you in employment searching and employment activities and try to get your job right away. That's rapid access to employment. We have reemployment. You were in the National Guard, you got deployed for a year and a half, a couple of years, you came back, you have some injuries, but you want to access the job that you previously had before you left. Okay, that's fine. And you may need some assistive technology, because of your new disabilities. So we can work with your employer, try to get you re-engaged in your previous career, and we can also try to get you some assistive technology devices or some ergonomically assessed devices while you're at, in your new position or in your old position. So that might include an ergonomically assessed keyboard. That might include an ergonomically assessed chair, for your back condition. That can include a whole lot of stuff. And we try to work in conjunction with your supervisor as well, or your employer, right? So employment through long-term services, that's track number 3. That's the one where people want the bachelor's degrees or associate's degrees.
School, going to school.
The master's, they're going to school for long-term, right? And I would say 90% of the people who are going through VRNE are probably doing employment through long-term services. That's when they get the BAH or, the subsistence allowance, if they qualify for the BAH. That's when they get, that's when we might go buy them like some supplies, if it's required for school, those type of things. So they're going to be in school for 3 to 4 years. So we try to set them up for 3 to 4 years of training. All right. The last 2 is independent living. Independent living, we determine through the evaluation process that you're not feasible for gainful and suitable employment. So there's some people, even though they might be entitled to VRNE, they're not going back to work.
Oh, Jeff, we have to stop for a break. Can you just stay on the line?
Yeah, of course.
I do have a few more questions to ask that people have asked me. So we're going to just stop for a break and we'll be right back, okay? Thank you.
February already, and those high-interest credit card bills just keep on rolling in. But then there's our New Year's resolution loan, which, by popular demand, Bank Pacific is extending throughout February. Up to $50,000 at a rate as low as 7.49% APR. Pay off those credit cards or whatever else you desire. Apply online at bankpacific.com or visit any of our convenient offices. Equal credit opportunity lender. Conditions apply. And yes, it's February, but still, Happy New Year from Bank Pacific.
Listen to The Point anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Find your favorite stations like The Point and discover more. Music stations, local and trusted news sources, sports talk and team coverage, plus today's biggest podcasts. Find it all on the Odyssey app. AUDACY.
And we're back, and I just wanted to say hello to some of the audience online. So, hello to Glenn, Henry, Amy, Scott and Dee, Mark Anthony, and John Munya. Thank you for hopping on. Thank you for watching us live on Facebook. I think I need to do a better job at sharing, but it's hard to share and talk at the same time. So we have Jeff. Are you still here?
Yep, I'm here.
We had Jeff on the line, and so of the 5 tracks, the most used one, would you say here on Guam, is what was the one going to school one called?
It's national. So the one that most people use is employment through long-term services. So the 5 tracks, we talked about rapid access to employment, reemployment, employment through long-term services is the most used track. That's where we're sending you back to school for long-term, 3 to 4 years on average. So I would say 90% of our clients, 90% of VRNE clients, are on that track. The last, independent living, again, let me backtrack. In order for you to get assessed for independent living, we had to determine that you're not feasible for employment. And so if you're not feasible for employment, then we can offer you independent living services. And that's, we can go to your house, We can assess. You can do an ergonomic assessment or assistive technology assessment, like grab bars. Do you need like maybe a ramp or something to help if you're in a wheelchair to help you access your home? Do you need something to help you with ambulation around your home? Do you need? We can also do hobbies as part of the independent living track. So I had one client. He was into woodworking. So I was trying to get him before I left. I was trying to get him woodworking equipment, so he can continue with his hobby. Something to help clients who are not working live more independently and fully.
Okay.
So that's the independent living track. And then the last track, which I'm a little hesitant to talk about, but it's it's probably the most misunderstood track. It's the self-employment track. So we can assist veterans with their self-employment goals if they want to start their own business and that type of stuff. So that assistance is usually like, we refer them to the Small Business Development Center. I was trying to work on a program before I resigned with the Small Business Development Center at UOG. That's where they're located at. Mm-hmm. And so we were talking about, like, if a veteran wants to do self-employment, I would refer them to UOG, and they can go there and participate in a series of classes and get a business plan developed and ready to go. Mm-hmm. Once that business plan is developed and, we review it and we try to figure out, is this appropriate for them, then, then we can help them maybe do some stocking for that business. We can help them with some equipment. The equipment that they can't purchase, they can't purchase your car. Anything with an engine they can't purchase for you. They can't stock a farm for you. And they can't rent a building or buy you a building. But they can maybe do some inventory, maybe some small equipment, maybe some computers or whatever, maybe a small stove or something along those lines, right? So that's self-employment. All right. So let's say, we determined that you're going through the employment through long-term services track, and that's the track that you're going to participate on. Then we got to do plan development. We had to figure out what is appropriate for you. So just because you come to a counselor and say, I want to do this, mm-hmm. doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to agree with it, because we'll look at your disability and say, hey, this is not appropriate for you. And I'll give you an example. I had a young man who came into my office when I was in Oakland, and he got discharged from the military because he had a series of anxiety attacks after he had witnessed some violence on his ship. Some of his shipmates had gotten severely injured, and he saw like some gory stuff, and it triggered anxiety, a series of anxieties in him. So he was medically discharged for major anxiety and PTSD. So he wanted to be what's the guy? What do you call it? He wanted to be an EMT, emergency medical technician, in San Francisco. And I've been to San Francisco. I hung out in San Francisco a lot, and just walking down the streets of San Francisco, you can see some gory stuff, right? So I was like, hey, well, listen, man, you're discharged because you're seeing a little bit too much. It caused you a lot of anxiety and PTSD. Now you want to go into being an EMT. I'm scared that this is going to exacerbate your disabilities. Mm-hmm. I can't sign off on that. Let's see if we can get you something a little bit more, suitable for you.
Jeff, I just wanted to touch on, I know we talked about this before, and you've explained the difference, but can you explain it on air now? So if I have some GI Bill time left, but I want to use Voc Rehab, can you tell what the difference is? Or what I should use first?
Yeah. Great question. So, Voc Rehab is I wouldn't say completely different. Voc Rehab is not an education benefit. Mm-hmm. It is an disability employment benefit.
Okay.
However, they have, education similarities, right? So one of the education similarities is if you have 9/11 benefits remaining and it hasn't expired,
okay,
we can pay you the 9/11 BAH rate, which is usually significantly more than what you would get as as our regular subsistence allowance rate. So we have our own rate, but we have as our own rate, mm-hmm. Which is usually a little bit less, about $700 a month while you're attending full-time training. And then we have our VRNE, or BAH rate, which is for most veterans on the island, it's about $2,405.
Mm-hmm. So how much time of GI Bill does a veteran need to have left?
Just one day. If you got one day, and it hasn't expired.
Wow.
It hasn't
Okay.
expired. That's a key component. So you got to check on your VA.gov and make sure it has not expired. If you got 1 day, we can pay you the BAH rate throughout the entirety of our program of VRE program.
Wow.
So all you need is 1 day.
Wow. That's
and so I've had
amazing.
that's a great question. I've had this happen before where, I wish I could talk to service members because a lot of times you're getting out and they transfer all their 9/11 to the dependents, right?
Right.
Before they get out of the military. Don't do that. Save yourself at least 1 day because you
1
may
day,
want to apply
okay.
for VRE, right?
Okay.
I usually tell them 1 month, just to be sure. But we really only need 1 day. And then, and again, make sure it hasn't expired. I think most veterans that are getting out right now, or most service members are getting right now, are coming under the Forever GI Bill, which they took the expiration dates off for your 9/11.
Yeah, the Forever GI Bill is pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, but so there's a few, who are still out there who aren't under the Forever GI Bill. So if you're not under the Forever GI Bill, you'll have an expiration date. I think I want to say 12 years or something like that to use that benefit program. So I try to catch them before that expiration date happens. But most of the time I can't. If that thing if it expires, there's not. I can't catch you. I got to pay you the subsistence allowance rate.
Right.
The other thing too is you can, if you gave some of your time to your dependents, you can recoup some of that back.
Oh.
So you'll have to go to Milk.
What do you mean recoup? What if they use it all?
Back. If they use it all, it's gone. It's in the wind.
Okay, so you're saying if they have any left over.
If they have it left over, they haven't touched it yet, you can recoup some of that time back. So I had a veteran do that. He went to Milk Connect. He worked with DOD, and they gave him some time back.
Oh,
he didn't get everything back, but all I needed was 1 day. He was able to get 1 day back, and I was able to pay him the 9/11 BAH rate.
Oh, wow.
Again, that's significant because it's based off of where you go to school at. Again, you got to be in person though,
Right.
Yeah.
and you got to be full to get that full rate.
Now,
So there's a set rate for online.
Okay.
So if you're doing online, sometimes it doesn't matter if you get the BAH or the SA rate, right? Sometimes the SA rate, the regular subsistence allowance rate, is higher.
Right.
You're doing online and you're using BAH, it's half the national average, which is about, oh man, I can't remember, it's been so long. I think it's about $1,100 or something like that for full-time attendance online.
okay.
So in that case, I got to look at it and I got to say, hey, I could pay you the regular, subsistence allowance rate, and then I can start paying you for dependents, right? Dependency is already built in to the BAH rate. It's E5 with dependents.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it's already built in. But then, if you're online, depending on how many dependents you got, sometimes the regular VR rate is the highest. So we look at the highest of the two. We compare them, which one is most beneficial to the veteran, and we try to pay you that rate.
Okay.
All right, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So Jeff,
I'm
sorry, real quick. So you talked about online schooling. Now, more about online. I'm wondering, a veteran cannot go online and do this program on their own. They need to work with a counselor. Is that correct?
Right. Okay. So that goes back to what we were talking about previously. We have to determine what's suitable for you, and sometimes that can be a little bit contentious.
Okay.
I give you the example of the veteran who wanted to do EMT. I disagreed with it. I denied him his request to go to EMT training, and he filed an appeal, right? Or he did a higher level review,
okay.
But we have to put you into a career path that's suitable, and that's the difference between education and us. Education is a benefit that you earn through service. Vocational rehab, you have to be found entitled to vocational or veteran readiness employment.
Entitled.
It's a disability employment program, so we're not going to sign off on, or we shouldn't be signing off on just anything. We want to determine what is appropriate career path for you, what's good for you, what's not going to exacerbate your disabilities. Otherwise, you're going to be right back in the same boat. You're going to do a job that's not suitable for you. You're going to quit after a year and a half, and then you're going to come back to vocation and say, I need more vocational rehab. And we have a lot of retreads, and that's kind of the problems of the program. We're trying to get you set up for a career, not just a job, but a career that you can do until you're retired. But a lot of times we get a lot of retreads. But anyway, so it's suitability is really a big component of it.
Awesome.
And, so a lot of times I tell my veterans, hey, if you really want to do this, go ahead and go use your 9/11 benefits. But we can't sign off on that.
Now,
and
Now,
Yes,
Jeff,
sir.
let me ask you a question. So when you talk about this benefit, do you think our veterans locally are underutilizing that program?
It's growing.
It's growing.
I can't say they're underutilizing it. I think the caseload that I was dealing with, it was getting bigger and bigger by the moment.
Okay.
And that's why I think they need more. They need at least 3 to 4 counselors.
Now, were you working? You did this same job out in Hawaii, is that correct?
Yeah, Hawaii, Oakland, and Oakland.
How,
Yeah.
if you looked at those populations and the amount of veterans and how those, do they do more outreach there, or is it easier for veterans to access this information as compared to how they access it here on Guam?
I thought it's about the same. I mean, I don't, it could be, the outreach could get better.
Okay.
I think this is my opinion. I think the support just isn't. The supervisors don't treat the out-based locations the same way they treat the Honolulu places in Honolulu.
Uh-huh.
And this is they don't provide the support that we need in Guam. They don't provide the support that Hilo needs or Maui needs. And a lot of times they leave that counselor out to dry,
Is there?
And I'm not criticizing anybody or anything. I'm just saying, we need program support staff out here. We need, people who can process, applications out here because we're a day ahead. We're a day ahead.
Okay.
And that's true, Jeff, because I missed my VRNA appointment a few weeks ago because of the time difference. And I went to look, and you know how your phone reads your emails and puts it on your calendar?
Right.
I missed it by 1 hour. I was an hour late. And so I messaged the counselor who's located in Hawaii, and I was like, hey, what happened? And she goes, oh, no, it's supposed to be 8 a.m. And I was like, well, I think that's the problem, because Guam is a day ahead. And then the time difference is 4 hours yesterday, right? So it's very difficult. And the only thing we can do is communicate through email, which is fine. But still, when you're working through this, because it takes a lot of back and forth to get started, like what you said, the program development. But you're right. A lot of people on Guam that we talk to don't know about this benefit. And it's very beneficial. And if you just have 1 day of GI Bill left, then yes, you qualify. Hey Jeff, we're gonna head to break and
okay,
we'll wrap up.
And then we'll wrap up. Thank you for joining us. Oh, did you want to stay on or you can stay on?
Want me to stay on?
You can stay on. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, because there's a couple more components that I want to talk about.
Okay. We're gonna head to break now, but we'll just stay on. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
The following is a public notice lane closure announcement for the Ukudu pipeline replacement on Route 16 between Reventax and Marine Corps Drive, Route 1. The lane closure will take place starting in January till the end of June 2024 as a 24-hour continuous operation. The project, a 198-megawatt combined cycle power plant. Again, the closure will take place starting in January till the end of June 2024. For more information, please contact 671-649-0001. Thank you for your patience as we move forward for Guam.
Yikes, it's February already, and those high-interest credit card bills just keep on rolling in. But then there's our New Year's resolution loan, which, by popular demand, Bank Pacific is extending throughout February. Up to $50,000 at a rate as low as 7.49% APR. Pay off those credit cards or whatever else you desire. Apply online at bankpacific.com or visit any of our convenient offices. Equal credit opportunity lender conditions apply. And yes, it's February, but still, Happy New Year from Bank Pacific.
And we're back. I just want to say hi to those online. I see Margaret Crisostomo. Hello. Ishmael. Hi, sis. I see you on there. Raylene. Who else is here? John, Mark, Amy, Scott and Dee, and Henry and Glenn. Hello. Are you still there?
I'm still here. So, I know you guys want to wrap up here pretty soon. So, I'll be real quick. The time difference is a key component. Mm-hmm. I'm sending, and I'll give you an example. A lot of things that we do needs a second signature. It needs a supervisory signature, right? Mm-hmm. So our supervisors are way back in Honolulu. So my Mondays is their Sundays. So I'm sending documentation that needs to be signed off. I send that documentation, back to Honolulu for signature, and I got to wait, and the veteran's like, hey, man, what's up with my, my this, what's up with that, what's going on? And I'm like, hey, they're off. So we got to wait till Tuesday, or we got to wait till Wednesday, before I can reach them and talk to them about, the documents I had to send back to them. This is true with reimbursements, retroactive inductions, all that kind of stuff. A lot of things that we do need signatures, supervisory signatures, and it has to go back to Honolulu for those signatures. So it takes a little bit more time. The time difference is a great point, outstanding point. All right. So let's.
Anthony, what did you wanted to ask him a question?
Yeah. So and Jeff, we will be reaching out to you to come back on. I mean, we only have a short period of time, and
okay, gotcha.
One of the things I wanted to kind of touch on a little bit is the VA wants the veteran to pay attention and take ownership of all these things that he must do for things like applying for this program or any other program, or even for their benefits. So is it correct to say that the VA is moving to a more online and more digital platform where the veteran has to learn to access and be a part of his claim and allow himself more understanding of his claim, and he has to be the person to do that, and all these other benefits as well? Would that be safe to say?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I got it to the point where I wasn't printing off anything. It was completely digital, completely online, and ideally I can be on a beach still working cases. And so I would send, the authorizations online, do everything digitally. We would do our meetings through Teams or Zoom, whatever platform is available. And then, of course, VA.gov, is where you would initiate your claim. So, yeah, 100% things are becoming more digitized. And I worry for veterans who are not digitally connected, but I'm 48 now. I'll be 48 next week. I'm cool with it because I grew up with technology or whatever, right? I love it, I filed my recent VA claim completely digital, completely through VA.gov. I uploaded my own documents, my own medical records, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, to answer your question, absolutely 100%. If you can get digitally connected, great. I wish they provided. One of the things that we were trying to do before I left was we were trying to get a computer station set up in the benefits office at Tejan. Mm-hmm. So they bought me a desk. I needed. I think they were going to send me a computer, but that was like a little bit. I had left by then.
Okay.
So veterans can come in and start. If they didn't have access to computer or internet, they can come into the office and start using our computers there. We had a computer. A computer center in Honolulu. We had a computer center in Oakland. Mm-hmm. We provided. Most benefits offices provide veterans access if they don't have it on their own. So, but yeah, VA is definitely going digital, and it's good because you can track things better. Things don't get lost.
And you can definitely do all of this on your own. Veterans need to know that they can file their claim on their own, or they can go to an accredited veteran services officer. And then on Guam, we have Tejan and Aston they can go to. And, veterans need to... Let me see. Oh, comments on Facebook. Amy says, I think it's great for a veteran to practice self-advocacy. That is true. Yes, all the veterans listening, you can completely do your VA claim online by yourself. And who is this? Henry asking how much. Oh, hey, Henry, it's Karina. We do not charge for Nexus letters, but Dr. Akoma, he can provide a Nexus letter for you. You can contact his office. Where in Tejan? Someone's asking where in Tejan. So where in Tejan is how can you explain it? I'll get people lost on this island. Where in Tejan can they go to?
Are you talking about
this is how I explain it.
There's a comment on Facebook.
Go ahead.
If you know where the Social Security office is at, the VA benefits office at Tejan is right next door to that. There's FedEx there. So you got to go to the airport. Once you go to the airport, depending on where you're coming from. Let's say you're going the normal route to Home Depot. You take that right, you go all the way down, you see FedEx, you see Social Security office, You got to check in there's a little check-in security gate there. You check in. Right next door to the Social Security office is, and usually they have them right outside, is the veterans office. And awesome. If you got to there's also the immigration office way at the end. So if you know where immigration is at, VBA is right there too.
Okay. All right, and Jeff, we're running out of time and we're going to have to wrap up. But we sincerely are very appreciative of your sharing that information, and we'll get you back on whenever you have some time, and we'll have you share more of that information. We look forward to that new person that's coming in. And once again, thank you for your service. Thank you for all the stuff you've done out here for our veterans. And, keep us posted, and we'd like to hear from you again.
No problem. I'm like I said, I'm leaving off island for about 3 months or so, but I'll be back.
All right.
Just one point.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, you need to be self-advocate or whatever, but the laws change. The PACT Act, you need guidance, right? So you can understand the changes of the law. That's why they're there. They're there to provide you guidance, to help you understand what the presumptive conditions are and that kind of stuff. Okay. You can't just do it all on your own. Some of the stuff you can do on your own, but you definitely need guidance on what claims you can file, and so your claim can be well adjudicated. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So anyway.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. You have a good one. We'll see you when you get back.
For the listeners and everyone on Facebook, you're listening to 93.3 FM, KUSG and The Point. And we're here every Monday at 6 p.m., 6 to 7 p.m. Thank you, guys, and we will see you next week. Oh, that's our 2024 Year of the Veteran shirt.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. You have a good night.
The Point is KUSG, Hagåtña, Guam, 93.3 FM and 104.3 HD3.
Details of a border bill revealed. I'm Sue Guzman, Fox News, and senators on Sunday releasing a compromise $118 billion bill that cracks down on illegal immigration and provides wartime aid to Ukraine and Israel.
Migrant encounters at the border are already at a threshold that the Senate plan would allow for President Biden to